Now we're actually going to talk about Squid Games.
Now it's time for our show. Let's do it. So if you're unfamiliar with our show, we're going to talk about this film and...
or TV show, whatever.
TV show. 2 seasons of it. So if you haven't seen it, we are going to talk about what it is.
Has anyone not seen Squid Game? Please raise your hand. Okay, excellent, excellent. So this won't be wasted on you. I love that, because we wrote up synopsises, and that would like... Synopses, for everyone who hasn't watched it, so that you know what's happening.
So first we'll tell you what the general idea of the show is, and then we will break down what happens in each season so that you have context for like what the hell we're talking about. So overall, Squid Game, which started in 2021 to today, it is hopefully season 3. We were left on quite a cliffhanger, a very sad, depressing cliffhanger of season 2. It should be happening this summer. Yeah. So if you are so moved by our discussion, go watch it. It does get a little gruesome, so I get that, but it's also like really important, and understanding like Korean culture and how like, oh, they're just like us. Mm-hmm. They suffer from a lot of the same things.
They also
You probably learned that from Bong Joon-ho's Parasite. So.
Yeah, under capitalism in a sad way.
Yeah, but they did a cool thing, and they got rid of their fascist person, and they just celebrated that they're gone. So maybe we could learn a thing or two. So what the overall idea is, hundreds of cash-strapped players accept a strange invitation to compete in children's games, like we just did. Inside, a tempting prize awaits with deadly high stakes, a survival game that has a whopping 45.6 billion won prize at stake, and it's created by Hwang Dong-hyuk. Won is different from dollars. You can look it up, how much that is.
Gabe has that on their ears.
I'm wearing 20,000 won, which I looked up is $13.
So yeah.
Tell me what happens in season 1.
So season 1 is a little more optimistic. You leave it like, okay, all right. So what happens is that we follow a character named Song Ji-hun, a divorced father and gambling addict, drowning in debt. Essentially, everyone that you witness on the show is drowning in debt and with really no way out. When approached by a mysterious stranger, the man who slaps and plays Dokji, he accepts an invitation to play children's games for money. What he doesn't realize is that he's entering a deadly contest where 456 desperate players who are debt-ridden and need the money compete for a life-changing $45.6 billion won prize, which is $38 million USD. The players are taken to a remote island, and it's run by masked staff in pink jumpsuits with little shapes on their faces. And the contestants soon discover the horrifying truth that getting eliminated means that you're gonna die. And it starts like, you think everything's chill. We're playing red light, green light. Everyone's played red light, green light. And then if you move, once the red light happens, you're murdered.
They shoot you down. And that, of course, causes, like,
panic,
and then everyone
tries to run away.
And then they get shot. And it sucks.
Yeah, it's very sad. So despite the shocking bloodshed, most remaining players choose to stay. Like, they vote, and they're like, yeah, we need the money, so actually, I can't do better outside of this game, so we're gonna do that. And they choose to stay. And then, essentially, he forms alliances with several players.
Yeah, you can say that.
Of his childhood friend, Cho Sang-woo, and an elderly man named Oh Il-nam, and a North Korean defector named Kang Se-buk, and a Pakistani migrant worker named Ali Abdul. And they're like, you really care about these characters, so it's like devastating when you watch them experience these really horrifying games. And as they progress, including deadly versions of tug-of-war, marbles, and glass stepping stones, alliances fracture under the pressure. And like everyone kind of just like, other than our main character, is like, greed. I need this money more than you. If you die, I have more money. And so you really like see people embrace the worst parts of themselves, while Ji-hun is like, please don't, can we just have empathy for each other? Like, love your fellow man. So essentially, we see a lot of betrayal, and essentially, everyone starts to die off. So the old man is said to have died, and gi-hun is like struggling with the emotions of that. And in a gut-wrenching twist, Sang-woo kills Se-bok when she's already wounded, ensuring a place in the finale.
Mm-hmm. This is after Sang-woo already killed Ali.
Yeah.
It's really, honestly, heartbreaking.
Yeah.
It hurts.
It's like very much like what people tell you the apocalypse will be, where like you can't trust your friends. But and I trust gi-hun, but that's it.
Yeah, it's the marbles episode, so it happens right after tug of war, where they've learned like to work together as a team, and so they form this allegiance, and then they're split up, and of course they team up with like
the people they
new
like.
friend, and somebody has to die, and so that's kind of the whole game.
Yeah,
somebody's got to die.
So it's really devastating. And then in the final game, gi-hun is against Sang-woo, his childhood friend, in the titular Squid Game, as the show is named. With victory within reach, gi-hun offers to end the game altogether. Like, you can vote to say, if everyone majority, we can go home. And Sang-woo, like, consumed by the shame and guilt of everyone he's basically sacrificed to get where he is, ends his own life so that gi-hun can go on. And after winning, a traumatized gi-hun discovers the elderly Il-nam, who you like fall in love with. This old man that like gi-hun is protecting the entire time was actually the creator of the games, who participated for fun while dying of a brain tumor because he was really rich and was like, this is a fun time. It wasn't, it was really sad. So shaken by all this, he doesn't want to spend the blood money, and he's like determined to fight against the games. And that's what we really see gear up to season 2.
So season 2 starts up with gi-hun having assembled a crack team of people who are, it's actually like the people he was indebted to. Now he has all this money, he paid off his debts, and now they work for him, and they're scouring the subways to find the slapping man, to find the games. And so they're trying to do that. We do find the recruiter, slapping man, very handsome slapping man. You know,
he's a little evil though, you know, and they're bad and they're
really
bad,
crazy.
you know?
He's really crazy. And in season 2, he doesn't just do the slapping game. We actually see him approach a park that's full of houseless people, and he approaches them with a piece of bread or money. And he says, will you play a game to either get bread or money?
Well, the lottery ticket, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like either food for today or some money for something, a lottery ticket, yeah. And so, yeah, the promise of more than bread, right? And we see that majority of those folks do take the lottery ticket, the scratch ticket, versus the bread. And it's like, see, poor people, right?
You really learn that the hot slapping man is like probably a sociopath.
Yeah. And then gi-hun does team up with another handsome man, Detective Jun-ho, who's in one of my favorite K-dramas. He's the second male lead, so he doesn't get picked, but we picked him in our hearts. And he hatches a plan because his brother, spoiler season 1, is the front man. He had gone into the games looking for his brother who went missing, and he thought, oh, my brother's a contestant. He won, he became the front man. It corrupts us, right? And he was shot by his brother, he survived, and now he's like, I'm coming back in. Yeah. So they had to plan to get in there, so gi-hun is back in the games, baby. And they're just like they always are, except you think, okay, gi-hun's in the game, he knows how it plays, it should be easy for him to be like, all right, everyone, let's fight back, let's not play into their bullshit. And they're like, no, we want money.
Yeah.
We're desperate.
Right? Disappointing.
Yeah, it does start with the red light, green light, so it does tease him into thinking that he'll know what the games are, and then it switches it up into some really fun, scary games. We also get some new players, so we get new people to be really sad about that we're attached to. We get a mother-son duo, which is like super heartbreaking. Like mom's just out there trying to protect the son. We get a famous rapper named Thanos, who's like really fun. He's so silly.
I like switched from from English because the rap in English was terrible, and then I switched back to Korean, and it was still terrible. He was not
But
good.
in like the best of ways.
Yeah, it was silly.
He also, side fact, the actor for that used to be in a K-pop group as a rapper, and like they kind of ousted him because he like smoked pot or something.
Oh. That's super illegal in Korea, so that makes sense.
It happens a lot in that world. It's if you watch it, please do subtitles. You'll miss a lot of context if you don't do subtitles. There's also a pregnant woman and her YouTube boyfriend, a transgender ex-Marine, which is one of again, why you should have subtitles on, because of the words that are used to talk to her confirm her identity. And so it's really important to like understand the context of relationship that this girl is calling her big sister in Korean, and that's like a big deal because again, she's trans. And then of course we get Gi-hun and the front man playing as a player as 001.
They're always evil. You think you would have like called on? And he was like,
he's like, this is my new friend. I love him. And also Gi-hun's child, another friend from life, is playing because he can't win. They play. It gets desperate. They try to fight back, and we end with them trying to revolutionize. They're literally gunning people down, trying to get to the front man who's literally right next to them.
but they don't know.
And of course, the front man's right there, so it doesn't win. So we were kind of really sad at the end of season 2. That's why I'm really holding out for season 3. But there's a reason why we chose Squid Game in talking about horrors of society. This is a series that we come back to all the time. We've covered it in a number of ways because society is terrifying. And there's a number of ways that, like, it's usually capitalism, it's usually white supremacy, and it's usually the patriarchy that are doing something to people. And with Squid Game, you know, I think season 1 we've covered before, and it is a really great like conversation about capitalism. But I think having season 2 where we return to the games and we're like trying to fight back, and it's really hard to do that, feels really important right now.
Yeah.
In a time where it does feel like we are also up against a big insurmountable evil, and it's important to remember that we outnumber them. So we're going to dive into some of that media literacy of why we chose this. Thank you. Season 1.
Yeah, so basically what we see in season 1 is that like they're preying upon people who have gambling addiction, like, and who are in situations that are so unable to be escaped by like staying above board, that like literally their only way out is to bank on this lottery, that they're just so buried under poverty that like they have no other choice than to die in the real world or die in the games. Like you get like, they go home and they're like, I'm gonna go back in because like out here sucks and in there suck too, but like at least I have a chance at winning millions of dollars to get me out of this situation. So they really like prey on people, and like a big thing that Gi-hun's like pushing most of his time is that like they're preying on innocent people who have no other choice. There's an illusion of choice. They have to be in the games because the world is just as unforgiving as the children's games that they're playing. And it's just like a really big struggle that feels really insurmountable and accurate to what life is.
I think the other thing that Kat was talking about when we were planning for this episode too is that the persistence of Gi-hun's like goodness is really important in season 1 because everyone's kind of falling to these like this typical idea that when we're, you know, against the wall, it's us versus them, that we will turn on each other, that it's just one bad day from like being mean and killing each other. That's not true. Like, that's not what happens. Generally, in times of disaster or crisis, we unite, we help each other. We'll put ourselves in harm's way to help each other. It's just like literally what happens.
The power of empathy.
We talk a lot about disaster utopias. Our 301 episode, which will be coming out soon, is about that as well. But he persists, and he really is this like antagonist to Il-nam, who's this elderly man who's like, I made these games to show you just how, like, just you throw a little money at someone who needs money to survive,
They'll
and
do
they'll do
anything.
anything. Yeah. And he's like, I'm not doing nothing. Like, I won because you wouldn't let me not win, you know?
No.
I would rather everyone be alive and I still be in the gutter than have all this money. And he refuses to use it for the longest time. And that's really important to hold on to. I think what my biggest takeaway besides just that is that the idea of pitting each other against each other, like, and this idea that if there's someone below you, then you're not on the bottom. Mm-hmm. When the reality is we're all on the bottom. We are all on this bottom rung, and there's just a little few people at the tippity top, and if they keep us distracted long enough, fighting each other, putting ourselves in the rink, then we won't have enough time to stop and think about how we can actually unite and fight them. Mm-hmm. And then we have, did you want to talk about Fall of the House of Usher?
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen Fall of the House of Usher, but in that show, they have, in Mike Flanagan's show, there's a big speech made by Madeline Usher, who's like this really rich lady who basically sold her soul to a demon, and is like, give me all the wealth, I don't really care how many people I have to murder. And they basically like, talk about how the oppressed people ask for the harm that they experience, like a very white woman, like they ask for us to poison them and do like, you're addicted to McDonald's, like, you know what I mean? Like, you deserve this. And that's very similar in Squid Games, where in the second season especially, they really play upon the fact that the people who are running the games and the people who are at the top really just view the people participating in the games as trash. So there's this whole argument that's very similar between the two shows that basically like the people who make the addictive substances are less evil because the people at the bottom need the addictive substances. And it's like, no, that's not how addiction works. Actually, the person who's making the addictive substance is pretty evil. And just because someone is falling victim to that, it's not like the victim's fault. It's very victim blamey, the rich. So yeah, it just like the shows really kind of complement each other, even though they're made by totally different people and in totally different countries. Mm-hmm.
But a lot of similar issues. I think that's why Squid Game, Parasite, and a lot of like Korean horror specifically does resonate. It has a lot of similar struggles and themes that we can resonate with here. In season 2, because we're like gi-hun's in on it, we kind of see that shift of, oh, we're figuring out capitalism is bad, to, okay, now what do we do about it, and how hard it is to fight against it. And I think what my takeaways from that was that it is very difficult, but it's not impossible. I know we're left on this like cliffhanger of like, oh, it's hopeless, people are dying that we cared about again. But it isn't, like, there's a reason why they're afraid. There's a reason why the front man joined the games, because he knows the power of gi-hun as a sympathetic, empathetic human coming into the games and telling people that you actually have a fighting chance. And I think season 2 also has a great twist where they show us the backstory of the pink employees, and you see how they were corrupted, or you see their desperation, and turns out, oh, they're victims too, right? Because I think in like season 1, Sang-woo, as much as he is a villain, he isn't the villain. He's also a victim in it, and that's not to excuse his murder and the things that he did in the game. Absolutely, he's awful. But you can see how he was led to that because he was like he was put on this pillar, on this pedestal, and holding on a lot of responsibilities that is really strong in like Korean culture too. And so seeing it from the viewpoint of the employees and how they feel like, oh, again, it's that idea of like, if I'm the one pointing the gun, then there's not a gun at me, but there is, right? You are also a pawn in the full game.
Yeah, you have like infighting amongst the groups too that just like makes it really compelling, and also you're like, wow, I really just wish we could all be friends and work together. It's more complicated than that, but
So that's like your crash course into a Ghouls episode. And you know, our Horrors of Society series that we're kicking off for the rest of this month and a little bit into May is this, we're kind of exploring pieces that are moving forward from just the like, hey, this thing sucks, we're moving on to how hard it is to fight against, but it is not impossible. And I think that's something that we really want to drive home, especially with these things. Like, they can be so depressing and so heartbreaking to watch. And honestly, the message is missed. Like, media literacy barely exists.
A lot of people love Squid Games too, and were like, they played less games. That sucked. And I was like, we don't want them to play the games, actually. It would be really great if they could survive. Why are we rooting for their murder?
And then they're playing Squid Game. Like, I know we were playing silly games, but no one died. Like, they were playing, Mr. Beast was like, oh, I'm going to give you a lot of money, and then he didn't, and then he abused people. It's a whole thing. It's like Great Gatsby parties. Like, did you read the book? I don't even like the book, but I'd like you to read it and get it. It's like literature 101. Rich people suck. That's the thesis. So media literacy is usually rich people suck.
Yeah. And we've had 300 episodes to verify that rich people do in fact suck.
So before we close it out, we did want to play just a little game of, we like to, I do, I don't know if Kat says this as well, but I love to say, there's a Ghouls for that. We got some stickers of it. So whenever someone brings up a topic, or they're like whining about something, or they're like, oh, I just read this book, or I read this article, or what have you, they love to say, like, they'll say it now and go, there's a Ghouls for that. There's an episode about that. So I wanted to invite folks to kind of like just shout out like a theme or an idea or a topic.
We'll let you know if there's a Ghouls for that. Maybe you'll catch us and we haven't done it.
Yeah.
And then we'll have to, like, because it's a contract between the audience and us. Who would like to guess? Shout it out. You don't have to come up here. That's a lot of pressure.
It. Hockey. Oh, that's a good one. There's not a Ghouls for that, but there will be a Ghouls for soccer soon.
We've never done hockey? I'm surprised.
I don't even think anyone's played hockey.
Wow, we already lost.
Damn.
We thought it was going to take a few more tries. We really uncovered a lot of things. You really got us.
Pick something else. Oh, abortion. Oh, there's a Ghouls for that.
We need more plants, like, to shout out.
The healthcare industry. Oh, there's a Ghouls for that. Sloths. There's a Ghouls for that. What is it? Oh, the Tire movie? We have not covered the Tire movie.
It is one of my favorite movies.
We have covered like Final Destination, which I feel like is like a, absurd things killing you. No, oh yes. Episode number 3, baby. We talk about sleep paralysis. We talk about...
I have narcolepsy.
We talk about narcolepsy. Did you know that like all around the world, people experience the same paralysis demon of like a guy in the hat? It's creepy. What happens to your brain, buddies? Anyone have sleep paralysis before? So scary. Have anyone seen the man with the hat? Yes. See, in this room.
I feel like that means the man with the hat is real.
I think he's real. It's kind of weird if someone like, I don't live in your house. Like, what the?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got so excited.
Yes. Sex work is real work. We did
literally.
Cam.
We covered Cam.
Cam the film. Cam the film, great film. I could not recommend it enough. And we actually had, we've talked to sex workers on the episode as well. So we really talk about what that is. And it's more of like that commodification of a person and an idol.
Feeling entitled to who they are outside of their work.
Perfect Blue is kind of in that as well because she's kind of doing some sex work. We'll take
purses.
Curses.
That's different.
Curses. I feel like
we've definitely done
curses.
Curse. The Wishmaster.
Oh,
stuff like that.
Be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, that was like really early.
That was so fun. That was a good one where your dad was a trash.
Does anyone else just like fall asleep in the middle of the day and wake up to the Wishmaster movies on like TBS when you're a kid and you're not old enough to witness that?
That's true. We
just
did
me.
Curses. Any other random?
Definitely.
Many
of them. We appreciate you, Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah. Yeah, Final Girl, for sure. Obviously, that's a lovely trend that happens in horror. Horror is one of the genres that we do get to see, like, women and femfolk at the helm and surviving and fighting back. It's kind of like a regular occurrence.
Sometimes it's just people really like to torture women on screen, and it's bad.
That's awful.
But sometimes it's empowering.
Mm-hmm. I love when they have an excuse that's not like they're just evil for evil's sake. I love an evil woman just to be evil, you know?
Yeah. It doesn't have to be like rape, revenge, or...
Yeah. It could just, I'm just angry.
Yeah. We have lots of reasons to be angry.
I have the same reasons men have or something, you know? Like, whatever. Well, we have a whole slew of things, and you might hear... you might bring up something, and I will probably say there's goals for that.
Except for hockey.
Roland does that all the time.
Yeah.
I'm going to be like, what about taxes? I'm like, there's goals for that. What about, economic inequality? There's goals for that.
There's a lot of goals for that.
What about time travel?
Grief is something we talk about a lot also, so.
Oh, yes. The ocean, that was what that's cat sphere.
Fun fact, those like documentaries, they're just like go into the ocean and they're just showing you what's down there? That's a horror film. My actual nightmare. I watch it like to scare myself often.
I think there's a slide for it. Where is it? There it is. That's a sticker.
That's a sticker.
Ocean. That's cat sphere. It's super scary. Obviously the weather. We have animals.
Why don't we know what's down there,
Musicals, everything. Awesome. So that's 300 episodes.
And you were here for it. In our 300th episode, they'll hear your clapping. So you're on the show. Now you can officially raise your hand the next time we're like, were you on our show?
You live in our basement. Yes, so be sure to tune in to the rest of the Horrors of Society series we have and we're also going to be talking about season 2 of Severance. People, it's spooky stuff, really stressful stuff, especially now. And hopefully it does motivate and educate and understand that like we can not just be passive viewers or listeners to media, but understand that there is usually a different, or there's an intention behind it.
Yeah, people make things the way that they do for a reason most of the time.
Mm-hmm. And like 2 people could watch the same thing and get different things. For sure, we are not the end-all be-all of things, but we implore you to think about it.
YouTube will sometimes tell us we're wrong.
And we say, this isn't feminist at all.
They were in love.
Yeah, they were in love. It wasn't abuse.
Yeah.
You can abuse someone you love. No, you can't.
You can't. Actually, Bell Hooks said that you can't.
So just put your media literacy glasses on in a rewatch and think, what is this trying to teach me or tell me? And don't get married.
Let your kids.
Thank you for watching. That's it. Check us out. Thank you so much.